It's hard to imagine the scale and size of these things. The distances, the time it takes to get there, the number of steps up the mountain.
When Fratello asked us to collaborate and they wanted to do this red dial, we quickly set our sights on Jan Mayen, and we thought this mystical island really should be the inspiration for our next series of watches.
What does 2,300 meters of climbing on Glacier do to people, especially after having been 5 days on a sailing boat?
Spennende.
So Jan Mayen is quite inaccessible.
It's a volcanic island that is governed by Norway.
It's about 700 kilometers west of Norway and about 600 kilometers north of Iceland and about the same east of Greenland.
So I think it's 16 people in total living there.
Receiving supplies from the mainland via plane once a week, assuming weather conditions allow.
Jeg har ikke sjøveien, merker jeg, ass.
Nei, det tar litt tid.
Ser ut som Bambi.
None of us had any clue. I've been on a sailing boat once before, but that was in a calm fjord, nothing like this.
That's awesome. This is the fun bit.
Yeah.
So it turns out that 10 guys in a small space on a boat for 2 weeks is a lot of fun.
Fresh.
You had one job.
But as soon as we exited the fjord, we were exposed to the large ocean, and conditions changed quite rapidly.
So we're about 2 days into the journey, in between Longyearbyen and Jan Mayen, almost exactly halfway, and we run into this crazy storm. So we're sitting there around the table. There's about 6 of us. We've got 7-meter high waves. The boat is going up and down. It sets a new speed record. We're sharing a box of wine, having a nice time, talking about how the trip's going to be a great success. And suddenly, bang! A huge explosion, as it sounds like, comes from directly above us. And we look up through the skylight and we see the sail torn straight across the middle, fluttering in the wind.
Rolling all over the place. John and Carl are out on deck trying to fix the problem as best they can.
Det jo full storm. Ting flyr veggimellom og...
Fucking hell! Jesus Christ, it's all over the place. It's torn, right?
It was beautiful and dramatic at the same time, and I think it really affected the blue dial that we made.
Part of the key to making this type of dial and texture work is that you're able to take this sort of 1,000 feet perspective and really scale it down and put it into a dial where you're working with sort of less than a millimeter of height. And we were able to sort of freeze that moment of wild ocean and vastness.
Ja, nå ligger barna hjemme og sover, og kona ser på en eller annen romantisk TV-serie, mens jeg står her.
As we got closer and closer to Jan Mayen, suddenly,
It's absolutely enormous.
it just emerged and the sun caught the side of Beerenberg. It is this incredible natural structure of rock and ice born of fire, and it's just erupting out of the Arctic Sea.
Det ser jo helt fantastisk ut da. Hvis vi får litt solgløtt på toppen i tillegg, så skal vi være fornøyd.
We had to get on the island, get up the mountain, get back down and back to the boat within about a day and a half. And if we were able to do it in that time frame, we'd be able to get out ahead of another storm and hopefully make good progress home.
We didn't just design the watch to be inspired by Jan Mayen, but also to tackle the elements it would meet during the expedition.
We think that you really need to go out there, experience the moment, see the textures, absorb the inspiration. That's when you're really able to capture the true quality of it.
Okay, so far so good. Good progress, in fact, maybe a little too good. No need to put our foot on the gas now, we can take it easy. Which is just as well because the rain's coming quite nastily and heaven forbid the wind should follow, but we're in a good place so far.
Beerenberg is 2,277 meters above sea level, but crucially, you start from zero. The hike time varies depending on many factors, right? If you have great weather, you're going to have an easier time. But if you have rough, shifting conditions like we did, expect to be on the run for 20-24 hours.
Se her da. Nå ser jeg ting. Nå klarer jeg det plutselig.
About 1,150 meters up now. I'm just looking forward to strolling on and hoping that the sun that came out momentarily will join us for the rest of the day.
Over time, little things started to build up. Little pessimisms would creep in.
Get up here, hand in the rope.
Then we were faced with a decision.
It's around 500 meters left to the summit of altitude climbing. It's been shitty conditions for a long time. People are smiling and I think that's because we're moist. No one will say that we are a little cold sometimes.
Do we go straight into a whiteout snowstorm, to a notoriously treacherous crater rim and try and find a summit that isn't even marked? Or do we make the wise decision and turn back?
Thursday, if you continue on, play with margins.
Let's play the margins a bit more. See how it goes.
Things took a turn for the worse.
Oh, we were tired. Falling short of the summit felt, at first at least, like a bitter disappointment. But the more we thought about it, the more we came to realise that the true purpose of our journey might have been eluding us all along. When we first discussed visiting Jan Mayen, it's safe to say we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. We didn't realise we'd be at sea for almost 10 days, facing unpredictable waters and arriving at an island with barely any inhabitants, infrastructure, or facilities available to visitors. We didn't realise that the weather is so volatile that climbers often wait for days or even weeks for manageable conditions to roll around. But we didn't have days or weeks, we had hours to spare. We had one chance to challenge this lonely mountain, sitting barely touched and rarely beaten inside the Arctic Circle. And all this in the name of watch design. We made it as far as the mountain would allow, and that, we would come to realise, was far enough. As soon as we resolved to leave the peak in peace, Beerenberg showed us a kinder face. When we began our journey, we did so as a group of willing strangers, united by our goal alone. Now, at the end of it all, we are united by a shared experience that will bind us forever, and perhaps become the first chapter of a lifelong adventure like no other.